eye-opening and balanced. The DBS Morning News starts right now.
This morning's headlines: the curtains are about to be drawn on the 2025 Olmas Festival at Bath Estate. Details of the morning news right after this.
DBS Radio on the go. www.dbcradio.net. Click the play button at the top and you're good to go with the nation station, DBS Radio.
DBS News.
Welcome back to the DBS Major Morning News. My name is Curtis Matthew. The curtains are about to be drawn on the 2025 Olmas Festival at Bath Estate. DBS News visited Bath Estate a little after 6 o'clock this morning.
This year the Olmas Festival is being held in the community of Bath Estate. Some people ask why Bath Estate, but it's a Juve morning activity, and Bath Estate is known for having the very best Juve. And so when I came in this year and I saw the various Lapo Cabwits, the Sensei, the Stilt Walkers, the Steel Pan, I mean, there was so much energy in Bath Estate, and it is a very good activity. I want to commend the Cultural Division for spreading the love. 2 years ago it was in Point Michel, prior to that it was at Newtown, and this year it is in Bath Estate. And so I feel that the idea to move around is a very great one, and I can feel the energy, I can feel the vibes in the Bath Estate community this morning with our Olmas.
Well, it's the first time for me in a very long time, and I have to say I'm having a lot of fun. It makes me think about how great that was, that we have that culture alive, to see people in the rain enjoying themselves. I'm having a great time, and I want to see more of it.
To speak the truth, it's okay for the time. Well, to talk the truth, Carolina go. Well, we are indigenous people, and we're the first people in Dominica.
Well, right now I honestly just enjoying the event.
So far, it's going so good so far, going good. Everything in order. Good behavior, everything that's good.
Yeah, I think everything is going very well, and the people are really reveling, the people are really enjoying themselves. That I didn't really early on, but the people never went on the side. They stayed in the rain, jumping up and enjoyed. I think it was well organized, well put together, and the people are having a great time.
I just got here, but I'm a resident of Bath Estate, and so far it's good. You see a lot of people coming up from all over, so it's good.
I mean, I work at Cultural Division, and the Olmas initiative is a very good thing, because too many times we have been lost in the contemporary music, and it's always a hi-fi jumping. I think the Olmas is something we need to bring back in the carnival culture. If we don't preserve it, it will slowly die out.
Sugar Fire is in the house. Sugar Fire is the best in Dominica. The world know that. And people want to come down to Dominica to hear Sugar Fire. And let me give you a rhythm of me.
Songs and reaction from the Olmas Festival in Bath Estate. This morning, the curtains should be coming down on the festival any moment from now. Other news this morning: the inaugural flight of United Airlines into Dominica from New Jersey will see Dominican Peter Codrington as the pilot. The airline will make its inaugural flight into Dominica February 15.
Next weekend, the 15th, we'll have the inaugural flight of United Airlines from New Jersey coming to Dominica. You see on days that there are 2 American Airlines flights on the ground in Dominica. And these airlines are not coming to go and bathe in the hot water. They're bringing people to come to Dominica. And these airlines will not come to Dominica because they love Dominica. They come because there is an economic opportunity. And they do their own economic and financial feasibility, and they're satisfied that they can fly in and make money in Dominica. And if United Airlines move from 2 or 3 days a week to having 2 flights on some days, tell you there's a demand, and the demand is growing, which means that the economy is growing, which means that the economic activity is taking place, and the opportunities for the people of Dominica. It is left to us in Dominica to be constructive, to be positive, and to take advantage of those opportunities. Position ourselves to take advantage of opportunities. Because I can tell you, there's scores of non-Dominicans coming to Dominica, seeking to buy land and buy property, to position themselves for when these projects are completed.
And that's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. Other news, the West Bridge in Roseau will be renamed in the honor of Felician Alfrey, one of the founders of the Dominica Labour Party in 1955. The announcement was made by political leader of the DLP, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. The Dominica Labour Party launched activities in observance of its 70th anniversary Friday. The ceremony was held at the Labour House in Roseau.
This Labour Party's philosophy has never changed. And there's something that we have never compromised. Because that's what Labour has always done over 70 years, to put the country first and to put Dominicans first. And so we owe a debt of gratitude to our fallen comrades. From Felician Alfrey to Isulo Black to Iole Blanc to Patrick John to Mike Douglas to Rosie Douglas to Pierre Charles. We stand on their shoulders, and we will be celebrating these 70 years in recognition of their contribution and the contribution of so many people. And so we are here to celebrate. And to recognize the contribution of Felician Alfrey, we'll be renaming the West Bridge in honor of Felician Alfrey. So that bridge will be called the Felician Alfrey Bridge in recognition of our contribution, because it's important that we celebrate people. It's important that as a nation we pay homage and gratitude to those who sacrifice for this nation. And we will also, in due time, during this course of this year, inform the nation of how we shall recognize the contribution of Patrick John to our country's development, our country's advancement. And so this year is about celebrating people. And this is what the party has done. This is why I always say to the party that we must, even when things are difficult, that's when we should be dipping deeper into our philosophy and our principle. We must never lose sight. We must never compromise on helping people.
And that's the political leader of the Dominica Labour Party, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. President of the Dominica Labour Party, Ambassador Emmanuel Nanthan, highlighted the activities for the year-long celebration.
We started off last weekend with a celebratory mass at the Portsmouth Roman Catholic Church. In March, we'll be having a youth symposium. There will be a women's symposium too for the ladies of Labour. In April, we will have a lecture on the history of this great party. In May, around Mother's Day, we will have a Lady in Red. Also in May, on the 24th of May, we will have a great National Day celebration for labor rights. In June, the men on Father's Day will be doing a big cook-up. We will also have a sports day, and we're targeting the small, beautiful, scenic West Coast village of Jubla for a sports day. In August, we want to go to Granby. We want to have a cultural celebration in the historic Matutus Park. We will also recognize the long-serving members of Labour. Throughout the year, the National Youth Executive of Labour will be bringing out baskets to our senior citizens, supporters of Labour, some of them who have been there from day one. In September, we'll have a health and wellness fair. And also in September, we will be encouraging all Dominicans, and Labour will be planting trees throughout the length and breadth of Dominica. In October, we'll have a charity walk. In November, we will have an good old oldie-goldie night. In December, we will have an awards night where we will bring out and recognize those who have supported our great institution for so many years. Also, during the course of the year, there will be an important activity for the young people of Dominica. Dominica got talent. And I think something is being planned for a Shark Tank to give support to young entrepreneurs on the island.
And that's the president of the Dominica Labour Party, Ambassador Emmanuel Nanthan. Other news this morning, cultural enthusiast Sobas Esprit says efforts must be made to preserve the traditional aspects of Dominica's carnival while accepting that the product has evolved over the years. Mr. Esprit says, with the competition being faced with other products, Dominica must look to preserve what it makes or what makes it stand out among other carnivals. Mr. Esprit was speaking on the Creole Heartbeat program on DBS this week.
The carnival is a much bigger carnival. It has evolved over decades. And so a lot of the elements of the past has been disappearing or has disappeared. So what we are seeing is that particularly the young generation, their focus is on what we call pretty mass, and the mass that is associated with modern carnivals or contemporary carnivals of the Caribbean, which is really Trinidad and Brazil and so on. So I think to counterbalance that, what we're trying to do is to ensure that we preserve those elements that differentiate Dominica's carnival from the other carnivals, to give us that distinct advantage, appeal as a carnival. I believe, though, that we have to recognize that the carnival has evolved over the decades, and there's a preference by some segments of the population to go into that carnival. There are two things that we have to look at. One is, as I say, on the preservation side, the work that we must do. We have to engage the communities. We have to engage the schools. So in community engagement, school engagement is critical in sustaining those elements of the traditional forms. However, there are elements that are evolving that is different from that. What we have to do, and to be mindful, is as managers of carnival, as people who are involved in curating the carnival, is that even those elements of the modern forms reflect the Dominican experience. So the stories that we tell, images of the past and things like that could be very well incorporated into the modern day carnival.
And that's the cultural enthusiast Sobers Esprit speaking on the Creole Heartbeat program earlier this week. Minister of State in the Ministry of Youth and Community Development, Senator Oscar George, is reporting that over 1,500 young Dominicans have benefited from the Dominica Youth Business Trust, the DYBT. The Dominica Youth Business Trust, established in 2004, they observed their 20th year of operation with an award ceremony earlier this week.
Since their existence, it has provided opportunities for young persons for the provision of financial support to hundreds of small businesses, the provision of mentorship to many entrepreneurs, and also have given much needed exposure to many small and upcoming businesses which allow them to take off. The trust has provided guarantees to young persons who have no security and want to apply for business funding from partnering financial institutions. And importantly, the program also involves a training component prior to acquisition of the loans, which equips the young entrepreneurs with the basics of operations, management, and the preparation of business plans. In summary, the trust has been developing well-rounded and competent business owners in Dominica. And these investments have greatly facilitated the emergence of a thriving and sustainable private sector here in Dominica. A matter of fact, I was advised that over the last 20 years, it is estimated that over 1,500 young persons have benefited from the DYBT program. And as I speak, a variety of sectors has been touched by this program: ICT, agro-processing, garment making, retail, catering, taxi operations, tourism, and the list can go on and on. So the impact of the DYBT has been tremendous, and I can say with no fear of contradiction that the objective of the trust are being met in a very progressive manner.
And that's the Minister of State in the Ministry of Youth and Community Development, Senator Oscar George. Well, that's news. Our lead story this morning: the curtains are about to be drawn on the 2025 Old Mass Festival in the Bath Estate community. The sports report right after this.
Covering the nation and beyond, DBS Sports Report.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fence pipe. And Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins and bidets. PVC piping, fittings and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Let's begin the DBS Morning Sports Report with cricket news. The Windward Island Volcanoes crashed with their second straight defeat in the Cricket West Indies Regional 40 tournament as they were hammered by Trinidad and Tobago by an innings inside 3 days as that tournament continued in St. Vincent on Friday. The Windward suffered another batting collapse, being all out for just 114 as they crashed to the innings and 176-run defeat. Trinidad earlier in the day were all out for 456. Cephas Cooper made 117, Jason Mohammed 103, and Yannick Karayad 95. Daryl Cyrus picked up 4 for 105, and Gilon Tyson 2 for 83. The Windwards were all out for just 114. Jeremiah Solazano top scored with 36. Carrie Pierre picked up a career best 8 for 27. The final scores, the Windwards 166 and 114, Trinidad 456. In other matches, the West Indies wicketkeeper batter Tevin Imlach hit an unbeaten century, leading Guyana's fight back against the combined campuses and colleges. Imlach hit 126 not out as Guyana made 343 in reply to the CCC's first innings score of 375. The combined campuses and colleges, they were 32 for 3 at Storms, leading by 64 runs. Meantime, the Barbados Pride are 4 wickets away from a comprehensive win over the West Indies Academy. The Academy, they were 211 for 6 in their second innings, still 131 runs short of making Barbados bat again. The scores in that game, Barbados 581 for 9 declared, the West Indies Academy 239 and 211 for 6. And the Leeward Island Hurricanes will need 112 more runs to beat the Jamaican Scorpions. The Leewards were 44 for 1 in search of their victory target at Storms. The scores in that game, Jamaica 320 and 170, the Leeward Island Hurricanes 335 and 44 for 1. Dominica kicked off its campaign in the Under-17 World Cup qualifiers with a heavy defeat to Belize as action in Group C got underway Friday afternoon in Mexico. Dominica suffered a heavy 7-0 defeat to Belize. Dominica's next match will be against Mexico on Sunday at 5 in the afternoon. In other results from Group C last night, Nicaragua beat Barbados by 6-0. And of course, DBS Sports will continue to follow the event. Pearl Etienne has been named the captain of the national women's cricket team for the 2025 Windward Island Women's Cricket Tournament to be held in Dominica starting this weekend. The team also includes the West Indies under-19 players Ernisha Fontaine, Abini Seja, and Amia Gilbert. The tournament gets underway Sunday with Dominica playing St. Vincent at the Benjamin's Park, while Grenada plays St. Lucia at Geneva Playing Field in Granby.
The women's tournament, Windward Island, between Grenada, Dominica, St. Vincent and St. Lucia, will kick off this weekend at 2 venues. We have the Geneva Playing Field to the south, and then to the north we have the Benjamin's Park. All preparations are going very well, smoothly. I mean, there are hiccups, but we have override the hiccups so far, and they're all is set for the weekend start, bang on time. Well, this year is a replica of the last edition in Grenada. We're going to have 50 over cricket, so all teams will be playing a round robin for 50 overs, and then we move into the T20 Blaze, which will be held at Portsmouth. So the 50 over is going to be held at both Geneva and Portsmouth. However, Friday we move into Portsmouth, where we have the T20 Blaze. The team reads Pearl Etienne, captain, Ernisha Fontaine, vice captain, Ronette Sanford, Abini Seja, Kiana Francis, Jeannie Valmore, Jennifer Gasper, Kayla George, Rosilia Regis, Shadia Seaman, Aldiv Gasper, Amir Gilbert, Jem Elwa, Abigail Celestine, and as I said before, it is coached by Sam Cannon and managed by our fellow board member, Dina Matthew.
And that's the second vice president of the Dominica Cricket Association, Jamie John Baptiste. Of course, the Windward Island Volcanoes will play the combined campuses and colleges in Dominica from next week, Wednesday. That match you don't want to miss. DBS will bring you live coverage on the 89.5 FM frequency. That's the Windward Island Volcanoes and the combined campuses and colleges right here in Dominica from Wednesday next week. International cricket could be making its return to Dominica in 2026. President of the Dominica Cricket Association, Clement Masler, says Windsor Park is being considered for a series involving the West Indies men and women's teams in 2026. He says Cricket West Indies has already reached out to the Ministry of Sports expressing interest for Dominica to be a host.
From February 20th, 2026 to March 3rd, and I try to point out the length of time that team would have to remain in our hotels, the length of time that they would have to be transported to practices, and catering has to be done, laundry services and everything. That is the Sri Lanka women's tour versus West Indies. From the 20th to the 3rd of March, there's going to be ODIs and T20s. I think 3 ODIs and 3 T20s as well. From July 11th, New Zealand, July 11th to the 15th, that's New Zealand versus West Indies, and that is what we have for 2026. Bearing in mind, in 2025, it's just Pakistan and Australia, so it's not much cricket that will be available as for this year. So that's one of the issues buying us from having the games as well.
And that's the president of the Dominica Cricket Association, Clement Masler. Convent High School A team scored a 3-1 win over the Convent High School B team as the Sports Division Secondary School's Under-20 volleyball tournament continued yesterday at the Convent High School ground. The Convent High School A team took the match 25-17, 13-25, 25-13, 25-23. Meantime, in the Sports Division organized secondary schools netball tournament, the Northeast Comprehensive scored a narrow 1-point win over the Pierre Charles Secondary School. Northeast Comprehensive took the match 27-26. Scoring for the Northeast Comprehensive were Kadeen Wilkinson, 17 goals from 36 tries, and Ashlyn Bernard, 9 from 23. While scoring for the Pierre Charles Secondary School, Shikera Hillier had 26 goals from 41 attempts. And in football, the Portsmouth Secondary School secured the automatic spot in the finals of the Sports Division Secondary School's 13 and under football competition. They did so after securing a 2-all draw against Castlereagh Secondary School Friday in their final match of the round-robin phase to go undefeated with 5 wins and a draw for 16 points. Jaden Thomas scored for the Portsmouth Secondary School, while the second goal was an own goal. Malachi Joseph scored for the Castlereagh Secondary School, while they also benefited from an own goal. The match in Newtown between Dominica Grammar School and Isaiah Thomas Secondary School was postponed because of a waterlogged field. A review of the constitution of the Dominica Cycling Association is currently underway. President of the Dominica Cycling Association, Ronald Charles, says the proposed changes will better help with the governance of the sport. He says the association is hoping to complete the amendments to the constitution by March 2025.
We've been doing some constitutional amendments. This has rightfully so taken, a toll on the organization because it's a small committee, and that we want to ensure that the constitution is amended in a way to embrace the sport and to give it that kind of direction that it needs. You find that in a lot of organizations sometimes You go for the constitution, and their constitution does not necessarily give the necessary guide or the guidance that they require in order that the establishment can continue. I've always said that what is important is at the end of all of this is that you're able 10, 15, 20 years from now have a set of rules that will be able to keep the cycling association going, and whoever takes over moving forward would have the ease in doing so. Transition would be good. Voting would be great, and other aspects of the sport. So we're looking forward to finalizing this and getting it endorsed by a special meeting very soon. And of course, we'll distribute it to our various members to see whether or not they have any issues with the Constitution and the amendment.
And that's the president of the Dominica Cycling Association, Ronald Charles. Let's go on to some volleyball news now. Defending champions in the men's Division 1 of the KFC National Volleyball League, Club 1, will be looking to make it 2 straight wins as that tournament continues this weekend. Club 1 will take on the Breakers from Portsmouth at the St. Joseph Hard Courts Sunday at 8 o'clock in the evening. The Club 1 women's team will also battle the Breakers women's team Sunday at 6 p.m. Meantime, today, defending women's champions, the Acers, will play Zebians at 4 o'clock at Massac, while the Celtics will play R&D in the women's division at 6 o'clock and in the men's division 1 at 8 o'clock. Let's go back to some cricket news. The former Chief Executive Officer of Cricket West Indies, Johnny Grave, says he would support Dr. Keisha Shallow being returned as president of the organization for a second term when elections are called later this year. Dr. Shallow was elected president on March 25, 2023, after serving 2 terms as vice president.
Yeah, I think President Shallow is a good man. He understands cricket. He's got the support, as you say, of 4 boards. So I would expect him to be re-elected, and I would wish him and everyone involved all the very best for the future, because it's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of time to improve. But as we've just seen in Pakistan, as we've seen in the West Indies Championship through some of those young players, there's still the talent there, and West Indies are still alive and kicking. So hopefully it's going to be an improvement on the field, which is what everyone wants. And certainly there's stability off the field, in my opinion, helps.
And that's the former Chief Executive Officer of Cricket West Indies, Johnny Grave. Meantime, the Barbados Cricket Association, BCA, and the Guyana Cricket Board, GCB, have confirmed they will be in attendance at the special board meeting of Cricket West Indies tomorrow. Both presidents have indicated they will attend the Cricket West Indies meeting to discuss the proposed resolutions to amend the Articles of Association, despite their disappointment in the way in which the matter has been handled by Cricket West Indies. The Guyana Cricket Board and the Barbados Cricket Association refused to attend Cricket West Indies meetings on several occasions in the last few years. The last meeting was called on December 6th, 2024, to discuss governance reform. Both boards have also denied reports that they are against the changes to the Constitution. The 2 boards have described Cricket West Indies' decision to publicly criticize them for not attending the last meeting as disrespectful and unprofessional, and said it did not follow the code of ethics. That too is how we wrap the DBS Morning Sports Report. And of course, let's remind you, we'll bring you some more highlights in sports at just around 1:28 this afternoon. We'll have Gavin Richards bringing you that report at just about 1:28. We'll have another major newscast at 1:15. Joseph Fado, let's remind listeners about some important things happening on DBS Radio in the course of the morning. Just a little after 8 o'clock this morning, Calypso Moments. In fact, we have the program with Carlisle John Baptist, the gallery, and others. They will be here in studios a little after 8 o'clock this morning. You don't want to miss the program with Carlisle John Baptist and the gallery. Most likely Duncan Stowe will be around on the program. And 9:30 this morning, we bring you Connecting the Dots with Ivona John Baptist Luge and Nigel Francis. This morning, they feature some of the top women in Dominica's Calypso. Many people are saying the Calypso for the women has come a long way. This morning, Ivona John Baptist Luge and Nigel Francis feature some of the top women in Dominica's Calypsos. In fact, a few of them who will be featured, they are already through to the semi-finals of the Calypso competition. You don't want to miss the Dominican women in Calypso. That program, Connecting the Dots, 9:30 this morning, right here on DBS Radio. Well, that will end DBS Morning News and Sports. On behalf of the News and Sports departments and our link person, Joseph Fadul, Curtis Matthew, saying good morning.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, Portland and tile cement, steel rods, galvanized and fence pipe. And Rudolph Thomas can meet all your wire needs. Galvanized roofing sheets, doors, windows, toilet sets, face basins and bidets. PVC piping, fittings and lattice. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. And Rudolph Thomas is your one-stop shop for hard-to-find items like fiberglass mat and fiberglass resin and welding rods. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
And let's bring you this morning's edition of the DBS Insert of the Package. This morning's edition of the DBS Insert of the Package is brought to you compliments A&A Low Price Center.
A&A Low Price Center in the village of Calabishi offers the best prices for the freshest products ever. One-stop convenient shopping at A&A Low Price Center in Calabishi. For your foods, your everyday needs, snacks, liquor, dry goods, and more. Just about everything located in the flat of Calabishi, directly in the center of the village. Come to A&A Low Price Center on the highway in Calabishi. A&A Low Price Center is family owned and operated. It is fully computerized, VAT compliant, low toll, credit card and top-up capabilities. Stop at A&A Low Price Center in Calabishi today or call 445-7655. Drop us an email at analowprice@gmail.com. A&A Low Price Center in Calabishi open 7 days a week, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Visit us today. Just walk in and be happy you did.
And this morning's Insert of the Package will come from the morning news, where the curtains have been drawn on the 2025 Old Mass Festival at Bath Estate. DBS Radio visited Bath Estate a little after 6 o'clock this morning. Here are some sights. Here are some sounds from the Old Mass Festival.
The Old Mass Festival is being held in the community of Bath Estate. Some people ask why Bath Estate, but it's a Juve morning activity, and Bath Estate is known for having the very best Juve. And so when I came in this year and I saw the various Lapo Cabwits, the Sensei, the Stilt Walkers, the Steel Pan, I mean, there was so much energy in Bath Estate, and it is a very good activity. I want to commend the Cultural Division for spreading the love. 2 years ago it was in Point Michel, prior to that it was at Newtown, and this year it is in Bath Estate. And so I feel that the idea to move around is a very great one, and I can feel the energy, I can feel the vibes in the Bath Estate community this morning with our Old Mass.
Well, it's the first time for me in a very long time, and I have to say I'm having a lot of fun. It makes me think about how great that was, that we have that culture alive, to see people in the rain enjoying themselves, I'm having a great time and I want to see more of it.
To speak the truth, it's okay for the time. Well, to talk the truth, Carolina go. Well, we are indigenous people and we're the first people in Dominica.
Well, right now I honestly just enjoying the event.
So far, it's going so good so far. Going good so far. Going good. Everything in order. Good.
And that was sounds and reactions from the Old Mass Festival, which came to a conclusion a while ago.